Welcome to Stock Talk. This is your host, Scott. I hope you had a decent year in the market, but most of you, probably all of you, had a rough go at it, unless you were in some really safe stuff. But if you're in the NASDAQ at all, you had a rough year. And this is probably one of the worst years, if not the worst year I've had since I've been doing this. So we're going to hope for a much better 2023. And That's all we can do is just wait for this thing to turn. And thank goodness, I've had my cash some on the sideline, but you can only put so much cash on the sideline. So we need this thing to turn around, and so we can accumulate more cash. Okay, so anyway, it was a rough year. These are tough years. If you've ever been through one of these, it is tough. Sometimes it ends pretty quick, but sometimes it drags out a little bit. But most of the time, what I've seen over the years, within a couple of years, you usually head in the right direction again. You may not be setting the woods on fire, but at least you're setting the right direction. You're making money instead of losing money in the markets. And so that's what we're going to hope for this year in 2023. May start out a little slow because I don't think the Fed's going to quit cutting anytime soon, upping the rates anytime soon. And I don't think the red is going to stop, but we'll take a look at some things that may surprise you a little bit, what's been going on in the last 6 months or so. So let's go ahead and take a look at the portfolio and cut over to there. And this is our portfolio that you're looking at. Some of these we own, some of them we don't. QQQ is the one I hold. Have been putting a little bit in that towards probably the last 6 months or so, and just putting a little bit in there at a time because I'm trying to preserve my cash. But once I see this thing turn, I'll be more aggressive on that, and may even sell some of these losers and put some move that money to some others if they don't move. But it seems like when we have a good green day, these are usually all green. So that's good for us when the thing turns. So. All right, so let's take a look at just the market overall. Let's take a look at some of that. And let's start with the NASDAQ, since that's the bad boy. That's the one that really hurt. And see what we had there. Let me pull it up on the phone so I can get that percentage real quick for you. But you can see the chart there. And it's a downward trend for the whole year, pretty much. You do have some ups and downs there, but you don't have anything that's trending in an up direction. It is definitely in the down direction. And for the past year, as of today, we're at negative 31.75% on the NASDAQ. Okay, but let's go take a look at a 6 month. Let's go back 6 months, take a look at that. And you're seeing about a 9% drop there, 8.98%. And then if you go for the last month, we'll take a look at that real quick. Last month, you're at an 8% drop. So in the last month, you've dropped just about all of that loss for the 6 month period. So the 6 month period really was not that bad until this last month. And that's probably a lot to do with selling, people selling their losses, especially in the NASDAQ. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at. If you want to look at a 5-day real quick, we'll do that. But you got to in a 5-day period as of today, you're actually up a little bit, almost 1%. So starting the year out right, at least as far as the 5-day period goes. Today's the 5th, so that's all good. QQQ, of course, that's pretty much going to track the NASDAQ. But let's just check it. All right, let's look at the 1 day on the QQQ. The 1 year. That should be about 31.93%. So it's tracked right there with it. So we won't look at any more of that. But it's pretty much, that is, if you want to play the NASDAQ, that's where you put your money in the QQQ. Okay? And you're pretty much tracking the NASDAQ. Novavax, let's take a look at that. This was one of our. And so here's the trend. Look at that trend there just this year. Let me take a look at the 1 year chart on that. 1-year chart is down 90.43%. So we got out at 43. Thank goodness. That would have been a bad situation if we had not gotten out of that one. We should have got out a little bit earlier. But you never know. The only reason I got out was once they had the conference call and they did not make their numbers, and that was like the third time in a row, and then they even reduced their numbers. All right, Amazon. Let's take a look at Amazon here. Amazon looks very similar. It's a downward trend, that's for sure. Let me pull up a 1-year chart on this phone here to see what we've got here. It's we're at 83.12, 83.12 today's close, and so that puts us down for the past year for 49.43% on a stock like Amazon. So these are some that I bought, when I got out of Novavax because I thought it would be a good place to put money. And of course, that was proved wrong once they started upping the rates like they were. So, and they've just been beaten down. But the good news about that is this is not going to stay that way with these companies here. They will come back. They're not going to stay down here like this forever. When the market turns, they're going to turn with it. These are companies that aren't going anywhere anytime soon. You're looking at it for Google here. You're looking at a 37.43% 1-year chart. Let's just take a look real quick at a 6-month chart on that. 6 months, you're at 23%. And so all this has been hit pretty hard. This Tesla is going to be scary to look at. And let's take a look at what Tesla. They did have some announcements about their deliveries the other day. They missed the deliveries a little bit, not because they didn't make the cars. It's just the supply chain, I guess, or being able to get the things delivered. That's the problem, I guess. But they don't. It wasn't like they couldn't produce the cars. They had plenty of cars. This company's really doing good, other than the fact they just missed a little delivery. He's gotten beat up because he's been involved with Twitter, and so that's the reason this has gotten beaten up so bad. A lot of it, I think, has to do with that. Plus, Elon himself has had to sell a lot of these shares, a lot of shares. He still owns a good bit of the company, but he had to sell a lot of shares to buy Twitter, to pay taxes, and so that was a downward trend for sure on the markets. But he says he's done. We'll see. It's 69.58% down for the year, and if you go to a 6-month chart there, it's not much better. It's like 52% on a 6-month chart. You can see here most of it has happened here towards. It started in September, right towards September 20th. The downward trend. You were at 308 then. Just came off a 3-for-1 split, and then it went down like this. So painful. I know there's a lot of people I watch on YouTube that own a lot of Tesla, and none of them selling their Tesla. There's a lot of confidence in that company still. GBTC, that's Greystone Bitcoin Trust, Grayscale. Actually, it was a little to the FTX fiasco. That affected all crypto. But if you do any study on Bitcoin, there's only 24 million of these things that's going to be made. There's a lot of them that's been lost, and so you can. Some of the people I watch say there's as many as about 14, 15, 16 million of these things available. So we'll see. Bitcoin is very scarce, and so it's something probably to grab hold of. I think in the future it's still going to do well. It's still this Bitcoin is a little bit different than all the other cryptos. It's not really. It's a store of value right now. It's not a cryptocurrency. It's an asset, and so it's treated like like gold or silver or whatever. And so are the other cryptos right now as far as taxes go. But see, that's where they need some regulation and to get some of that stuff. Some of these things they just run wild, and it's 99% of the crypto is terrible. Probably 99.9. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. But Bitcoin's a whole different animal. And Michael Saylor is really good to watch if you ever want to watch somebody that knows a whole lot about Bitcoin. And he's the CEO of MSTR, MicroStrategies. He's a very smart man, and that's who I watch a lot of. But let's see here, for a 1 year on this one, we're down almost at 69.5%. And so you go back to here, you can see this one was up here at $32. And here it was $32. And here it was $32. And it was right here holding up pretty good at 18 for a while. And then it just kind of follows Bitcoin. This is when Bitcoin fell off the cliff the other day. Before that, it was $12. So this one is as close as you can get to an ETF for Bitcoin, but it's not an ETF, it's a Bitcoin trust. So there's a difference. But if there ever is an ETF allowed, this one probably will be the one that gets it. And this thing is at a big discount right now to the actual holdings that this company has. So not a not a bad one if it holds up. ETH is also Grayscale Ethereum. Very, very tough year for all crypto. But don't this is what they call a crypto winter, and it happens every 3 or 4 years, and so we're gonna see if this one rides it out this time, or is this the last winter and everybody freezes to death. Who knows? All right, so CLSD, you can see that was just kind of a wash. That thing was green most of the day, and it's actually done pretty good last. Let's look at the last 5 days. You can see here's a nice little upward trend on that one. We were down here at $1.06 not too long ago. Now we're back up to $1.43. Got up to $1.54. Look at the 1 year chart on this one. You can see this thing has been as high as $2.76. So this is one of our biomedicals. Um, Again, 276 here. Let's look at a little bit further back, and you're going to see $13 here, $7 there. Seems like this thing was way more than that at one time. Maybe I'm wrong, but I was thinking this thing was about $20 at one time. I could be wrong. Might be, but anyway, it's been pretty decent here lately. Last few. Let's take a look at a month on that one real quick. Just real quick. 1 month on that. Yeah, you can see it's up for the month. 6 month. It's not doing too shabby. We've had some levels around 149 before, so this seems to be the area it needs to get through. If you can get through this area here, then we might can get up here to the 180s. But we'll just have to wait on that one. We'll have to wait on all of them, really. But again, the good news is when we have a green day, a good green day, we're green across the board, just like yesterday. It was a pretty good green day, and we actually do pretty good when we have green days in the market. Usually, a lot of times we outperform the market, and that's what we want to be doing. Bitcoin, it's 16,839. We're hoping that can hit 17 again here pretty soon. There's the 1 year chart. You can see here we are way off the high. This high was 47. I believe we actually were higher than that at one time. Yeah, let's see what this high was right here. 65. This is the way Bitcoin travels. You look at the max, you'll see here when it was down here at 900 and it got all the way up to 19,000. That was a pretty good one. It had a crypto winter, and it got down here to 3, and it got all the way up to 10. Fell off a cliff here, went to 5, and then it ran. This is when it went crazy. Then it came down again. Look at that drop all the way up here again. Very volatile. This is just a volatile asset right now because of there's a lot of trading that goes on with the crypto, which sometimes impacts Bitcoin, as you can see from that last little FTX deal. When you have frauds like that, it's going to impact Bitcoin, even though Bitcoin's pretty solid and it's never been hacked. And it's very secure. And when you hear of anything about Bitcoin being stolen or anything like that, that's usually from these exchanges. It has nothing to do with Bitcoin itself, the blockchain of Bitcoin. It's usually these exchanges like FTX, and of course Coinbase is one of the exchanges. That's the one I use. And really, you're supposed to get your your crypto off of these exchanges just so you can hold it yourself. Because if you're holding it yourself and the exchange goes under, like what happened with FTX, then you're okay because you've got it on your hard wallet or something like that. So cold storage, whatever they call it. I haven't done that yet. It kind of scares me to have that kind of money on a thumb drive. I trust the exchanges more than I trust myself. So that might not be a good thing, but that's just me. Unless I had a safety deposit box, and then you got, something happens to you, then you got to worry about whether somebody knows how to get it off of there. So that's why I keep it on the exchange mainly. Hopefully nothing happens there. I've got it on Coinbase. Coinbase hopefully is a solid company. When you Coinbase is on, in the U.S. too. It's not offshore like FTX is over there, and they did have FTX in the U.S., but the main thing was going on over there in where were they at? Bahamas or something. So then you got Hut. Hut's a Bitcoin miner. Hut's had a really good day yesterday. Let's take a look at that 5-day chart. You can see here it did have a really good day yesterday. Fell off a little bit today. But see, we need this thing to get back over $1, because when you stay under $1 for a certain period of time, you can get delisted. And we don't want that to be happening. But they had their earnings the other day, and it was not, they're not making a bunch of money. And the price of Bitcoin affects these miners. Okay, affects these miners greatly. So we need, and they haven't sold any of the Bitcoin that they've got. I forget how many they said they had the other day, but they've got a lot of Bitcoin, and they haven't sold any that they've mined. They're holders of their Bitcoin, so that's all good. That's what we want them to do, because Bitcoin will return one day, as far as price goes, and so will Hut. Tilray is a cannabis stock. Uh, Nikola, it's the hydrogen vehicles, electric vehicles, trucks, mostly. You can see here 1-year chart on that one, down. Been pretty solid. You can see how these things have still had a slight downward trend. It just kind of slowly eats you alive. 6-month chart, you can see it a little bit better. You can see just slow. And, right here at 299, and then that was back in October, and you're still bleeding. See, and it's a slow bleed, and that's not good. But as long as they don't go out of business and they don't have to do reverse splits and all that kind of stuff, that's what you got to worry about when they start doing stuff like that. That's how you get diluted and your shares aren't worth nothing anymore, hardly. So this is where we're at. We need this market to turn. Most of what I've heard and what I watch, of course, everybody says we're going into a recession next year. I believe we're already in a recession, and it seems like we've been in one. The big deal is with all these job openings. That's the Fed wants to see that equal out with the people looking, and so there's a lot more open jobs than there are people looking, and so the Fed wants that to kind of even out. So you're gonna hear things about people laying off and things like that, but I don't know how this is going to go. When the Fed's going to stop their increases. Some folks think they're going to have one more in them, and then they'll probably take the rest. But I believe that when I see it. But that's when the market's going to turn, when they stop, and uh, that's going to stop the bleeding, I believe. And then when they actually start cutting again, then I think that's going to help the market start going back up. But it could go up on its own, I think, as long as they quit, increasing. I think that's what people are waiting for. They're waiting for them to stop doing that, and I think you'll see money go to work once they do that. But right now, this is just weak hands. I mean, this is what happens. People sell as they see their stuff go down, and it's the worst thing you can do. It's the absolute worst thing you can do is sell when the market's down like it is. If you got good companies, okay, you want to try to have it in some good companies, good assets. Some of mine are in some of this crypto stuff that's really gotten hit, but I really believe it's going to be fine. The Bitcoin, I've got a Bitcoin, Ethereum, and I now have a little Solana as well. Sold one of the Ethereum and swapped it out for some Solana because Solana got beat up so bad and it's starting to turn back up. So, but that's just me doing my thing, just trying to spread out stuff a little bit too. But I'm hoping for a much better year, and hope you have a much better year. These kind of years are absolutely no fun, and we will not be making a bunch of videos, weekly and things like that because there's just not a lot to talk about other than the fact that things are going down, and that's depressing, and we don't want to depress people. And matter of fact, you probably need to take your mind off some of this stuff if it's depressing you, or if you can't sleep at night or whatever. You need to unplug. As long as you got it in some decent stuff, just leave it there. Take a break, especially if you don't need it. Nothing to worry about. It's going to go back up. That's what the market does. But have a great year this year. I hope we do. I hope we have at least a green year and get out of this ho hum stuff. All right. But this is the way it goes sometimes. So we just got to hang in there. I will talk to you later, and we'll probably get back on here maybe in a month or so just to touch base. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.